questions? Yes, ma'am.
You had mentioned starting out, you're looking at about possibly 10% that are coming back with some type of stress disorder. You start out with medication, therapy, group sessions. Realistically, out of that 10%, how hard is it to have that person go beyond the medication into the therapy and the group?
That's a good question, and it's really hard to answer because we don't have the oversight to know, and we do know that a lot of people are still not reporting anything. I would say a lot of it depends on what clinician you encounter or what helping person you do encounter, because some of us believe more in therapy or group therapy than others, and we're likely to sell it more than some of those that are focused on medication is going to help you and that's all you need. Most of us at this point in the mental health field are of the opinion that you need both. One or the other is not going to do the whole job. So I would say probably the majority are doing more than one thing, but to give you a number is hard.
And let's say you have the person already going through all that. Realistically, is it a situation to where maybe they can actually kind of like maybe what you would call maybe the wrong phrase of saying off the bandwagon? Like let's say you have somebody that has been diagnosed, has been taking their medication, has been following through. Do they sometimes also can still have some episode that will digress?
Yes.
Okay.
And in fact, I'll give you an example. I had a patient who's a Marine sergeant, excellent Marine, did wonderful in therapy, went through my intensive outpatient PTSD group on base, got better, and then got last minute notice that he was going to deploy to Haiti when the earthquake happened. And before he even got news that he was deploying, he had just turned on the news and saw pictures of dead, mutilated kids from the earthquake. And I think within an hour, he got the call that he was going, and this brought back some of his combat trauma, and he lost it and had a relapse, and we took him off the deployment, did some more therapy, and he was again fine, and I expect him to deploy in the next few months to Afghanistan. But the relapse can definitely be triggered. Yes, sir.
Over at the SIP, we have like short-term or one-time contact with the Marine getting his gear or something. How do you handle somebody that's angry, they've been waiting in line for a long time, and you're only going to see him once? He might come back again, but how do you handle him?
Patience. That would probably be my number one suggestion, is just to keep in your own mind, you don't know what this guy has been through, it's probably nothing personal. If you get riled up because of him, it's not going to help either of you, because then it just continues to escalate. A good metaphor that I use to describe some of the guys in sort of a PTSD funk, if you will, is a dog. Any size dog. Think of a dog who's normally friendly, outgoing, affectionate, and then he feels threatened. You know, there's a bigger dog on the other side of the fence or something like that, or he feels backed into a corner. What's that dog going to do? Yeah, all those things. Growl, bite, get aggressive, you know, hackles on the neck go up. Even to people he knows, right? If he's scared enough. This is what happens, what actually happens in the brain with PTSD. If someone is feeling threatened or scared enough, the part of the brain that's smart turns off. The part of the brain that we share with the dogs is going full force and is controlling our actions. So saying anything to him rationally may not get through. Sometimes you just have to be calming, step back, let him get control of himself. Take away that threat, in other words. Does that make sense?
Dr. Simmons, the Marine that you just described, what condition would that Marine have to be in for the Marine Corps to decide this Marine is non-deployable?
Essentially, if he was still having symptoms, active symptoms that would interfere with his judgment or his ability to perform in a setting where we know there are triggers of his combat trauma, that would essentially make him undeployable. Now, obviously that varies case by case, and we don't like to make any generalizations, but the bottom line is that the symptoms he's having, or is likely to have if he were in a certain situation, would prevent him from acting in the best interest of his unit, his mission, himself, then we would have to make him non-deployable.